Sniper Elite VR Winter Warrior is in fact standalone DLC. It's not a sequel as some of you may think, and this becomes immediately obvious when you start the game. When I first played Sniper Elite VR nearly 4 years ago on the original PSVR, I actually had a really good time. It also released on Quest and PCVR, but Quest was the platform I actually spent the least amount of time on because the other platforms looked a little bit better. They all played the same however, and I personally remember enjoying it quite a lot, and especially with the haptics. I had some gripes, but they felt pretty minor in comparison to how much fun it was to play one of my favourite flat games in VR. Now if we fast forward nearly 3 or 4 years later, things have moved on quite a bit, and what we have now is a new VR game that feels really old for a number of reasons, and yet I still found myself enjoying playing it. The story is around 3 hours long and there's 2 extra modes. One is a wave-based survival level, which you'd kind of expect, and the other sees you fighting elite snipers, but you have to survive waves of enemies to get to these snipers. I actually really like this mode because it's a one-shot kill for you and them. The story is okay too. It's nothing that memorable, but the ending was satisfying. So let's dive into some details. As we know, Winter Warrior is currently only available on Quest this time round, and for me, the game can look really good, but also pretty average depending on where you are positioned in the game. When you are standing somewhere overlooking a wide open area, for example, it can look really nice and super sharp on Quest 3. It's when you get into the smaller areas, it's not that impressive, but it's still serviceable. Weapons can look okay, but lighting can be really off. For example, if you're in a tunnel or a building, sometimes the guns have a sunny look to them, and there's no explanation why. And while the weapons feel okay, they don't feel anything special. Plus, you can't two-hand pistols, which meant I only used them as a last resort. Basically, when you try to two-hand a pistol, holding the grip button just pulls out the clip. The SMGs and assault rifles feel okay luckily, but the bolt action rifle is a real pleasure for me to use. When you hold your breath, take a shot, and see your slow-mo bullets smash through a person's eye socket, for example, that's when the Sniper Elite brand shines through, and that's when the whole game makes sense. Outside of those moments though, it's simply a pretty average game, and I had quite a few issues, making this feel very old. Nothing is solid in the world, weapons and hands pass through everything. The AI isn't smart, but they are excellent shots, meaning they are still a threat, which is a positive, at least on realism mode. Realism mode, by the way, adds bullet drop and wind speed to your shots, and it makes a lot of difference. I would definitely recommend you play this way if you want to increase the difficulty and your playtime. I do however question these bullet physics though. Even on a slightly windy day, your pistol bullets tend to almost want to go around corners on their own. I'm not a real life gun user, but this just looks silly when you see it. I also found myself having to recenter now and again because it feels like I'm sinking into the floor the longer I play. The weapons, when you two-hand them, also swivel on a weird horizontal axis, which can feel and look very unnatural. The grab mechanic also feels a bit crap in all honesty. I know it's similar to Half-Life Alyx where you extend your hand, pull the grip and then motion towards yourself to make the item come towards you, but it just doesn't feel the same here, and it's definitely not as fluid. And finally, to end this list of complaints, the enemies don't react to being shot. I shot a guard 7 to 8 times with a rifle and he did not once limp, drop his gun, crawl or bleed. They just keep going in perfect health until you kill them. This is what I mean when I say this is an old VR game with new content. Playing this game at times is a tough pill to swallow, especially at the end of 2023. And as you can see, the list of issues is pretty huge. To summarise, I still played it to completion for the review, and I actually enjoyed it regardless of these problems. There is no other games like Sniper Elite in VR, and if you haven't got the first Sniper Elite game, I would advise you buy that instead of this, as the story is longer and the game overall feels a bit less rushed. When it comes to buying this game or wait for a sale or avoid, I'm a little stuck because the game is actually only $15, which is kind of a sale price already, but I think $10 would have made a lot more sense and sweetened the deal with all these shortcomings, which puts it in the wait for a sale category. If you're a fan of haptics, good news is that is coming to this game just like the first, and I definitely recommend trying it with haptics. Thanks for watching, please leave a like and subscribe for more VR content, and if you haven't already, please check out my last review of Assassin's Creed Nexus.